Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Yo, what it is and what it do. You are officially tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM KCAA in the Inland Empire. Worldwide on the NBC Radio Network, as well as on the iHeart Radio app and a whole bunch of other places, Facebook, Spotify, yada, yada, yada. We are the number one new urban talk radio format on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. So woo-hoo! That's what's going on. As always, I am your host, Jay Love, and I am joined. I don't know who I'm joined with today. I don't know. It's a little bit confusing, but I am joined by, first of all, by Sheree Melion. How are you doing today, Miss Sheree Marlene? I'm sorry.
Oh my! You were real thrown off today. I'm doing well, and let me get my day right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday.
Yes, it is Wednesday the 24th, and okay, we are joined by Melion. Why are we a goat today?
For our listeners that can't see her, she came in with a goat head on today.
The irony is
giant fluffy goat head.
A year ago, I actually got this mask, ironically today, but it was when the COVID thing was really hitting, and I walked into Walmart with this, and it inspired my music video COVID-19. But I know we have a serious topic today. You know, do men cheat? Yes, they do, but they're dogs. So I feel like, animals, like we should, relate to it. So yeah, how's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday.
Wow.
Let's get right.
So let me start off by saying this, because we're gonna jump right into this. But today, let me start by setting a couple of ground rules. Number one, for our audience, and by the way, we definitely want to hear from you today. If you want to call in, we want to hear from you live on the air. You could reach us at area code 951-755-1356. That's 951-755-1356. We definitely want to hear from you. But listen, obviously, for many of you, most of you might have heard of the so-called self-proclaimed relationship guru, Derik Jaxn, who recently got himself in an entanglement, or the news recently broke, at least, that he was having extramarital affairs. And so it raised a lot of questions, right? Because this dude was, that was his whole thing. He was a relationship guy. And, so it begins the narrative, right, all the time when especially high profile men find themselves in these situations. It's like, do all men cheat? Is love real? Can marriage and love and relationships work? And so one of the things that I've learned through, some years on this earth, I got a little bit of wisdom, been on this earth for a little bit now, and through some therapy and through, the word and a whole bunch of other stuff, is that you can't paint a picture using words like all and every, you know what I mean? And things like that, because we know that as people, whether you're talking about people groups like races or like men, women, even though you can generalize to some extent, we're all unique. We're all individuals, right? And so if for the purposes of, even though we're going to talk about all of it, we're going to get in on all it and get what everybody feel. But for the purposes of having a real honest relationship, let's all do our best to refrain from alls and every and all the time, because
I agree. And did you see the shirt that he was wearing saying black men don't cheat? So to your point, you can't make statements like that because we're all individuals. So no, I agree with that statement, Jay.
Right, but I will say black men don't cheat. That's a campaign started by Charlemagne the God. Shout out to Charlemagne. Just because for so long that's been the narrative, right? As if
I get it, but one of your fellow black men did cheat, and he cheated big and very publicly.
True. Okay, true. But
I'll go ahead to support her little T-shirt brand, but the statement is not obviously 100% true.
Because first of all, we need to buy into that, correct, Miss Sheree Marlene? Because you're with a black man, so we believe that your black man don't cheat. He's an amazing black king.
Better not.
A mighty black king We know that he has integrity and a whole bunch of other things. So you could probably wear that t-shirt and know that.
So maybe it's black men that have Jesus don't cheat. We need to alter that shirt a little bit.
Wait, but this black man has Jesus.
Well, no, he's saying he just found, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So listen, I want to give a quick statistic, right?
Okay.
Because according to the Kinsey Institute, which is for those of you who don't know, is the foremost research group that studies relationships, sex, men and women, etc. They did a study, and what they came up with is that on average, and 20% of men cheat versus 13% of women. So the takeaway from that is that, okay, yes, men cheat at a higher rate, but here's the good news. That is not only a far lower number than what most people would assume, but also, you know what I mean? But also it means that 80% of men don't. Shout out for the men. Shout out for 80%.
Those are just the ones that admitted it or got caught.
But the Kinsey study is a blind study, meaning that people that they surveyed, like, they were anonymous. So there was no incentive to lie. You know what I mean? And so
here's the men's sex, the male sex.
You're so hilarious. So I can't take you serious with that. So here's the thing. The reason we're on this topic is, for those of you who don't know, there is a gentleman by the name of Derik Jaxn, right? He is spelled Jaxn, by the way. Even that's fishy to me, but whatever. We ain't even going.
Stop it.
But Derik Jaxn was, for a long time, a very successful, and technically he's still successful because, whatever, people are gullible, but a very successful relationship advice person. He's a self-proclaimed relationship expert. But he made his, the bulk of his brand was built off of, quote unquote, calling men to account, right? It was on telling the truth about men. And, time to time he would talk about women, but really the bulk of his brand, that's why the bulk of his following is women, is because he was always banging on men. And I've always said that you have to be careful when you see people who are very, like, rigid about a certain topic. You got to be real careful and watch that, because when they real rigid on that topic, not always, but oftentimes there tends to be something within that topic that they're dealing with, right? So here you have, fast forward, we find out that this dude was having multiple, not just one, but multiple extramarital affairs, and it came out, and obviously it was a big deal, not just because he was a random guy, but because specifically he was the relationship guy. In a minute, I'm gonna play a clip of his posts and all of that.
Okay, but before we jump into that, I do want to say,
I'm just about to go to you.
Okay,
but go ahead.
Because you know that I have lots to say on him.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, because Cherie, I was familiar with the guy, but I know you actually used to follow him. So can you tell me, like, what do you think?
Did you unfollow him after this, Cherie?
Yes, I did. Because I don't support it. And here's why. So I will say that the reason I started following him is I thought he had great insight on the female perspective coming from a male. Like, he had the ability to take video clips, break it down, see each side of it. And I thought his insight was great, and he was able to articulate it very well. So that's what initially caught my eye. I do see, like, I've never purchased any of his stuff, but I do see, like, little quotes he puts up that I could respect, right? Fast forward, once I found this out, obviously I was super shocked, but not really. And here's why. Sometimes the people that have the most insight and can articulate the best, they know their way around doing things the best as well, right? Like, I was talking to Josh about this, and he said, okay, take the best hackers. The hackers are good at what they do. Why? Because they're the ones that know how to maneuver around everything. So in that same regard, that's kind of what he was an expert, right? So he could always use it for bad too, which clearly he did in this case. So the thing that it is horrible to me is them coming out publicly. I would have had, and the way it was done, I don't know if you've seen it, Melion, but the holding of the hand.
I'm gonna play a clip.
We'll talk about that. But then what killed me is how he gave comments about his own video, and he kept talking in third person. I mean, talk about a narcissist. Oh my gosh.
My hand was hurting the way he was holding her hand.
Right? And then in the comments, it said something like, because everybody was like, well, she looks, to your point of holding the hand. So he makes a joke and he tags her, which he's never tagged her on things before. And in fact, I've always wondered, like, who is his wife, right? He tagged her and said, like, at, I think it's Jaxn, at Jaxn, blink twice if you need help. And then he put LOL with the heart emoji. I'm sorry, what part of this is funny? What part? Okay,
so while you're talking about that, let's go ahead and play. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but let's go ahead and play a little bit of this clip of this interesting gentleman. Here we go.
What's going on, guys? Derik Jaxn here, and today I am joined by my lovely wife, Danae, and we just wanted to address a couple of things. You know, we understand that some of you may have already heard, maybe not, that this chapter of our marriage is one that was preceded by a marriage that I completely failed. And I would say it just started around August, maybe September of last year. But, you know, a lot has been said already about what was the cause and all that other stuff. Some of it is true. Some of it is completely false. But the truth is, and I'm saying it here now, is that Derik Jaxn was involved with other women outside the marriage. The same way that I preach, you know, men and women in this situation need to face consequences of their actions, deserve to be held accountable. Guess what? Derik Jaxn's no exemption. He's not exempt from that. I'm also not a victim. Nobody made me do this. She didn't make me or push me to do it. The next person didn't make me. No friend influenced me. It don't matter how I was raised and what trauma, whatever. Look, I made decisions. I made a series of decisions that I got to account for. There's no excuse or justification. I've already made that bed and have had to lie in it. And now we're finally getting on to the other side personally in our own healing and our own marital oneness. And now this is being made public to you guys, so we're bringing that forth to you guys to let you know where we're at with that. But did you want to say anything?
Yes, so I do want to just add that I agree with what he just said. There is no justification for bringing other women into our marriage on any level. When I found out about it, I left. I did not hesitate or waste time to do so. And I stayed gone. No matter how many times he came, I stayed gone and stood firm on, I am not coming back. And I did not come back until I seen a shift and a change in his mentality. So there's nothing out there right now that is information that I don't already know about or haven't known about. And so this is not something that is new. We have moved forward from it. We have gotten counsel for it and continue to do so. He is still continuing to pursue God and continuing to seek guidance and wise counsel from men of God. So today, where I'm at is at peace, and I proudly stand by his side, and I have no hesitation, I have no hurt, no shame about that. We have already turned a new chapter in this story. We are continuing to move forward, and we are just now sharing that with you. I forgave him, and most importantly, God has first forgiven him, and I also forgive the others as well. And with that, we are free and moving forward. So absolutely, that's all I have.
If you get nothing else from what I've ever said over the last 9 years or right here in this video,
here's where it's about to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention. Here's where it's going to get interesting.
Nothing works until it comes into alignment with biblical standard of how God told us to do things, especially when we're talking about a marital, spiritual covenant. Yes. You know, you cannot do this by your own understanding, your own intelligence, your own willpower, your own values. You have to have the grace of God to break free from certain things, to stay away from certain things, to not operate from your lowest self, whatever it may be.
So, when I looked in the comments of this video, I don't know if old boy was trolling or not, but he said, D, I think I want to see a reaction to this video. So let's do it. And by the way, I'm going to speak in third person. A lot of you already seen this, but this is Derik Jaxn. A lot of people think of him as a relationship expert and guru and all of that. Well, he and his wife are making this video because apparently at some point in their marriage, or maybe even beforehand in the relationship, he didn't take his own advice and he stepped out and he got involved with other women, as you heard them say. Now, upon first impression, nothing really stuck out to me about him, but more so about the wife. Like, I heard her say that she stands with her husband. She's proud to love him. I heard her say that, you know, this is some time ago. They've already processed this, overcame this, dealt with this a long time ago, and nothing's really new to her. But just by her body language, I was really
Okay, so I got to break this here. I know that was a little bit long. Listen, because I already got people on Facebook hitting me right now. Okay, here's the thing: for those of y'all who are listening on the radio, or maybe you didn't understand, this is this dude talking about himself. He literally trolled his own video and made a comment video talking about himself in the third person, right? And goes on to talk about how the wife looks uncomfortable. I was looking at the wife's body language, but then I watched their live later. And go ahead, Sherette.
And this just seems like a couple that what? It's you and your wife. Like, I hate the disconnect, and that to me is a narcissistic person.
Amen.
Like, what? I would have respected him so much more if he would have said, listen, I made a big mistake. I need to own that. Not bringing his wife up there to hide behind either, and saying, I'm going to distance myself from social media and I'm just going to work on my marriage. Like, that is a man that respects his wife more so than this, right? Because things happen. I don't condone cheating, and I really don't believe that all men cheat. I really don't, which I know we're not on that topic yet. But yeah, this whole him giving notes on his own and then promoting a book at the end. We didn't get to see the very end, which I know that was long anyways, but he promoted his book at the end.
So Cherie, I know you see a lot of his videos and everything. Like, does he talk about, like, showing off your girl, like showing off your queen, like, being all about her kind of thing? Because I see a couple of videos.
He talks about it, but you have to understand, just like we saw him, we watched a video and then he made like a commentary about it. This is what he does all the time. So his followers will send him videos of, let's say, a man spoiling his woman or whatever the case is, and he'll make his comments on it. But he doesn't ever really show off his wife. That's what I was saying.
If you scroll down his page, you don't see anything about his wife.
No, because it's more so about his business. And the wife even comments, and he's commented. He's like, listen, just for the record, I am, because he talks a lot about like Black women and how beautiful they are. And he's like, I married a Black woman. And he says, my wife is just not a person to be in the limelight. She's just not. That's not what she's about. That's not what she's into. She just doesn't need that constant attention, which I have my own thoughts on that. I feel like when you're a partner.
Okay. I'm going to touch on what you're about to say. Yes, because here's the thing. I understand having a brand and a business that maybe your spouse or your, significant other is not involved in. But the difference is this is specifically a brand having to do with relationships.
Okay.
So you can't be a relationship brand on your own. That's counterproductive. You know what I mean?
If you're a married man, absolutely. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And James, I don't know about you, but I've seen, because I know, and Melion too, sorry to exclude you with that, but I know like we're all, we've been involved in church, and I've actually seen where the pastor's doing everything and the wife wants nothing to do with it, and there are dangers there. Like, I feel like you have to know what you're getting yourself into. If you are choosing to marry a pastor, you're choosing to marry a man that is going to talk about relationships or be in the limelight, I firmly believe that you need to be able to stand by your man, and your man, vice versa too. Like, let's say, I or you, Melion, or whoever, as a woman, go out and do all these really strong boss moves, right? I would still want my husband next to me. That support, that representation. Like, I think that is just so important, or you leave doors open for the devil to just tempt. Too much temptation. I don't
know. He should want to be with you, by your side. He should want to support you as your significant other.
But we live in such a jacked up world that there are women attacking her because she's clearly more so a plain woman, right? And she even talks about that in one of her videos. She's like, I'm just choosing to stay out of the limelight because there's a pressure and I don't want to have to look a certain way and have my hair a certain way. I get it, but you should have enough confidence in yourself to look just the way you look then and still be by your husband. But do you know that there are these hater women that are like, well, I saw his wife. She should paint her nails. Then maybe he won't be sneaking off with other women. Really? So that means that she deserves that? Like, what world do we live in when women are like that? Like, these are women that want him, clearly.
Well, so again, first of all, let's address the issue. This guy is a narcissist. It has zero to do with his wife and 100% to do with the fact that he is a textbook, overwhelmingly over the top narcissist. He literally went and did this whole thing on himself right? Critiqued himself and then was like, yeah, and Derik, it's not such a bad guy. We're all human, and I'm with Derik's wife. I think Derik deserves another shot in life. Really? Of course you're gonna say that, Derik.
Of course, and not only that, he's like, if she chooses to stay with him and she chooses this and that's her own thing. No, like, and to me too, there's a big difference between I'm choosing to stay with my husband and we're working through this versus just feeling so, I feel like she speaks like she's just so withdrawn from it and disconnected from it and just very, God will heal. So, and I agree, God can heal, God can do everything. But with her specifically, it's coming from a place like this is my chance. This is my chance and my purpose to show that I can be a strong woman and stay by my husband and numb my own feelings. Almost like she's doing God's work for him. Like she believes that. That's the sense I'm getting from her.
Here's the crazy part is they themselves said that this all came out in August, September. Right? We're not even a year removed from that. Okay, number one. Number two, because at the end, like you said, at the end of that video, he ends up doing a sales push for his book. Yeah. He said, he said Derik wrote a book.
Oh my God, that kills me.
Yeah, Derik wrote a book about how him and his wife got through it. So you wrote a book in between August, September, and now? Like that quick? Like, that was, you know what I mean? You didn't need no time, like at least a year, nothing. Like you just needed 36 hours and you were cool. Like,
and it was multiple women. That's the crazy thing.
So there is a lot of red flags with this that is alarming that people would buy into it. Because I know you were telling me, Cherie, that he has like something like 20,000 more followers after this.
Oh, no. He has 200,000 more followers after he posted that. What is that even about right now? Like, I don't understand.
Wow.
Like, I mean, let's be clear. A good chunk of that, like, still stop me trying to make somebody famous like that. But I feel like a good chunk of it is so people could just sit back and eat their air popcorn, right? It's just more drama for them to watch. I don't know that it's really in support of him, but I am completely shocked at the comments. They're either wake up, he's a narcissist, girl, you can do better, or it's 90% of these people don't even know Jesus and I stand by you. No, like, okay, yes. Yeah, see where I'm torn, but I just feel like there's a lot of manipulation there. That's my issue.
It's all manipulation. This dude is pimping the situation and like really abuse. Because Cherie and I were talking about this off air, and I was sharing with her that like if you're in any type of a field that supposedly helps people, right? Like this is what your job title, and whether you're from a pastor to a police officer to a counselor. In theory, in a perfect world, right? That means that you're in a profession where you care about the people that you service more than yourself, right? Meaning their needs are placed above yours. And that being the case, when something like this happens, it's not about you protecting or preserving your brand, right? It's not about you getting off, like, hey, she forgave me, Jesus forgave me. So, hey, it's about you guys saying, you know what? I know that, even if you want to acknowledge like, hey, I'm human. A lot of people go through this, whatever, but we're going to take some time. And I know right now I'm not the one you need to listen to. I was privileged enough for whatever period of time that I had your ear, but right now I'm not that guy, right? Because I care about you. I might suggest some other people to you, right? Like, hey, go listen to this person or go listen to this person, right? There's this other couple. They got this great thing that this couple does that works with relationships. But right now, I'm not that guy because I need to go out of my way to make sure that, because here's the thing. Let me say this. I'm 46 years old. I know I don't look it. Your boy look good. But in my lifetime, I've had I think a wealthy life in the sense that I've experienced a lot. I know I literally know people around the world. And so I think that I can articulate that I've known the gamut of relationships in terms of like the absolute sloppiest, worst, just disgusting relationships, all the way to like the very best, hashtag goals relationships, right? And everything in between. And I like to believe that the vast majority of people really want to do well, right? They really want to And the vast majority of people want their marriages to work. I believe that, yes, infidelity is a very serious topic, shouldn't be taken lightly. And if someone goes through that, then, there needs to be amends, right? There needs to be some type of amends. But I also believe, I believe that, in some cases you need to completely get away from that person forever. And in some cases, I've seen some people actually make the 180 turn and make all of the adjustments needed to, earn back a semblance of that trust. But it's never been in less than a year.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? It ain't never been from August, September.
I think where I hurt for the people too, though, his following is when we look to people, and again, this is based on my conversation with Josh, but when we look to people that don't have the foundation of God, but they make a person their God, a person that now fails them, they end up having that mentality of, see, all men cheat. Now I have no hope in anything. And that's the part where we have to realize that we need to believe in something bigger than just the people, because we all fall short. And that's not to make an excuse for him at all. It's removing him. It's just a reminder to people that we realistically should have our eyes focused on something higher, bigger, God, right, than a person who is going to fail you. Because I can't imagine how many people probably took that personal, that have held him up on this pedestal and held him in a place where, because this man's out here, I know there must be more. And now the flip side to that is, because he just failed me and failed miserably, and I see him for the narcissist he's acting like right now, or he's being right now, that must mean every man that talks similar to him, or every man that says that they're a good one, is obviously crap. And then we're just all walking around jaded, right? So I'm glad that you said
we lose hope. We lose hope.
Absolutely, because we're putting hope in the wrong place. That's the problem.
Yeah, and again, here's the thing. I think this is the reason I wanted to talk about this, and I know Cherie wanted to talk, is because it's lessons that we can learn, right? Number one, when you put yourself out there, right? Like we're putting ourselves out there right now, right? You now make yourself susceptible to a whole lot of rocks being thrown, right?
Yep.
You open yourself up to a whole world full of people who have opinions and have comments, and like us right now commenting on the situation, right? So there's a responsibility, right? It's been said.
But if you ever refer to yourself in third person, J Love,
well, J Love thinks J Love thinks that this whole situation. No, I mean, come on, it's absolutely. So that's number one, right? Number two, the biggest thing that bothered me about him specifically, right, and why I never got into him, was because if you're supposed to be a relationship expert or advice person or whatever terminology you want to use, it's to help, right?
Absolutely.
But you can't help and tear down at the same time. A lot of the language that he used was very degrading when he spoke of men. Like he would be really harsh when it would come to men, right? And I'm all for accountability. I think accountability is necessary.
Yeah.
I think the truth is absolute. You know what I mean? But once you like draw a line in the sand, and I say this about anything, when you make it like this is the hill I'm going to die on, be very careful. Be very careful, because now that he made that's why people are going in on him. The internet, all you got to do is put in a quick Derik. You don't even have to finish to get to Jaxn, and a gazillion things will come up about him, because dudes are like, oh, okay, see, all that you was talking, right? Yeah. And he's become a meme. And when you become a meme, that's not always a good thing. Like I think the only good meme was Bernie Sanders.
Well, and I think there's
so what if his argument, because we were saying that it hasn't even been a year. What if his argument is like, people can determine, everyone's situation is different. People can determine you heal in 2 months versus 2 years versus a year. So, what do you think about that? Like, what if he talked to his wife, like, we can heal in 2 days, quote unquote, she's over it in 2 days. So who determines that? Like 6 months, a year, 6 years of healing, and what's forgivable? Some people say cheating one time, I'm done, versus, God can heal us if you cheat with 6 women. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel like, one, it's a very private thing, and that's something only husband and wife can decide, right? That's not for anyone to, we can have opinions, and to J Love's point, when you're on a platform, everyone will have an opinion. So you put yourself in that situation, right? You're like, eyes on you at all times. So there's that, right? So it's very private, personal. And I also think it's based on what people have been through prior to, meaning this. If you've never been married before and you're young and something happens, you might find yourself forgiving each other in the early 20s. If you're somebody who has been married before and has been in a devastation, you may have zero tolerance for it going into a new relationship, right? So I feel like that's just between
or
them
vice versa, right? Like even if you're
or vice versa.
Right. And here's the thing, with regards to their marriage, I don't think any of us have the right to speak on their marriage, right? I don't think people have the ability to speak into someone else's relationship. You could, maybe, we have our opinion, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not speaking into the relationship.
No.
That's between themselves and God for real.
Absolutely.
What I am speaking on is that as a public figure, that he was out here bashing men a lot and really being really hardcore. That's where I'm saying, like, you have a responsibility. Like, as the public, we can choose, no, we maybe you've been putting in the work with your wife because you're with her every day. You ain't with us every day. You ain't earned my trust. I mean, you never have but you get what I'm saying? Like, let's say Cherie unfollowed him because he burned his trust with her. It's going to take more than one post for him to earn Cherie's trust back.
And that's the thing, though. Even when he came out and said it, I could have had grace there, right? Because people are people, and I could respect the fact that they chose to come out and talk about it publicly. But the way it was said lost me. Like, I was going into it really wanting to still find some good in it, and I just couldn't. And then when I saw, everything else play out, I'm like, no, that's actually when I unfollowed him. But J-Love, I think you're saying there's two parts to what you're saying, because you're saying when a man or a person speaks so definitively against something, that there might be a struggle or something inside of them, right? Like an example you used when we were talking about it prior to is people that are so against, gay people. It could be that they have an internal struggle, right? So they don't want to look in the mirror. But I think the other side to that too is when you do think you're above something, right?
Yeah,
and you
just
put yourself, but you think you put yourself on this pedestal, and that's why none of us can really bash anyone for what they've been through in their past unless you walked a day in their shoes. To your point, he should have never negatively bashed men so strongly unless he's specifically been through those specific situations. Because I do believe God has a way of humbling you too. Like, oh, really? So now where's all these words you were saying a minute ago? So he's definitely being humbled. I don't know that it's working. I don't know that if he's internalizing that humbleness, because it's real narcissistic right now.
Yeah. So listen, so we're going to pay some bills real quick. You're listening to the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM. We're going to pay some bills, but we're talking about so-called relationship guru, Derik Jaxn, his saga, and relationships and all kinds of good stuff. So, but we'll be back in just a minute.
Exotics Wellness. From massage oils to bath bombs, from drops to pain bombs, everything you need in exotic CBD wellness. Go to www.queenexotics.com. That's www.queenexotics.com or Queen Exotics on Instagram.
Do you have a business that requires heavily upon your clientele base having access to cash, like a dispensary or a barbershop? Or maybe you're in the market for one of the new cutting-edge Bitcoin ATMs or self-serve kiosks. Whatever your ATM needs, reach out to my man Guy, the ATM Guy, at 855-4ATM-GUY. That's 855-4ATM-GUY, or online at www.atmguy.net.
Without even lifting a finger, achieve the body of your dreams. You're perfect the way that you are, but if you've been struggling to tone up and love your body, there's something that can help you get there. Put down the box of chocolates and pick up a wrap. No, not that kind. A wrap that you can wear. That's Gym in a Box. The Core Wrap, the best body shaper anywhere. It features ultimate performance technology, Tone Up 15 to firm tone and strengthen your abs as it shapes your waist. That's Gym in a Box. Go to gyminabox.la to get yours now. That's gyminabox.la, because you deserve your dream body.
Yo, welcome back. You are tuned into the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM KCAA, worldwide on the NBC Radio Network, as well as on iHeartRadio. We're talking about the saga that has been this self-professed relationship guru, Derik Jaxn. and the revelation that he was having extramarital affairs, plural, and the weird series of videos that him and his wife put out, right? And just kind of all of the questions that brings up for the rest of us in terms of relationships, love, infidelity, all of that. I guess good, not good stuff, but all of that stuff, right? And
all the details.
Oh, there you go.
So,
all the details.
I want to ask you guys. So RCE Productions from IG, he wrote, "The devil is real. Temptation is all around. If you really put God first, you will never commit adultery." He's been married for almost 10 years with his wife, and he said he's been 100% faithful. So
And I
do you
believe
feel
that.
like if you have God really centered in your life, you'll be, loyal like that, as they apparently say they have God centered in their lives, right? Or wait, he's a new believer, right? Or how is it?
Here's the
saying
reality. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. That's a yes and a no answer, simply because of this. Good people fall short, right? So ideally, yes, because I've known amazing men who have missed the mark, right? Who really, like, legit were men of God who, were really disciplined and missed the mark, right? And I know guys who are kind of just, whatever, but they're just solid, and they've been straight on the straight and narrow. But
I was just going to say,
finish.
go ahead.
But I think that I truly believe, though, in order because the source of love is God, because he is the source of love. I personally believe that you cannot have success, whether you failed or not, without him in the center of your personal life, because a relationship only works when both people are centered within themselves first. Like for example, in my relationship, I can't be faithful for her. I have to be faithful here first. Like it's about me. Like anything I do has nothing to do with her. It's my relationship with God, my integrity, you know what I mean? And whatever corrections I need to make isn't so that she stays or doesn't, stays or leaves or whatever the case is. That shouldn't be my motivation. My motivation should be, I want to stay in right alignment. When we're talking about a spiritual thing, I want to stay in right alignment with God. And as a result of that, the benefit is prayerfully that this will stay, right? So yes, ideally, first of all, yes, keep God first, period.
Don't you feel like, though, that everybody has, like, if they haven't been freed from that struggle, whatever it is, like, I know we've talked about people being addicted to porn. Like, if you're not freed from that, from yourself through God, like, how could you not be tempted? Do you know what I mean? Like, by other situations as they arise.
Right. Well, and we have to understand, like, there's a reason the example ships that we about to have a theological conversation here. This kind of starts to get fun. But I mean, there's a reason why when you look at the word, right, Jesus himself was tempted. Now, his temptation might be on a different level than ours, right? Because he was being offered the kingdoms of the world. Like, really, I'm not going to believe if you offer me the kingdoms of the world. You understand what I'm saying? But he was worthy of the kingdoms of the world. So his temptation was different, right?
But don't you feel like kingdoms of the world is really just the world? Meaning, if you're choosing to have pleasures of the world, regardless of what that is to you, it doesn't all have to be sexual, then that's the same type of temptation. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just saying that it was
specifically.
It was specific to him, right? Like, your temptation, just to use a silly example, but your temptation might be poker, right?
Right.
It's no different than saying
no, it's Domino's. Right. Remember, James?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Mine might be red velvet cheesecake. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the case is, we're all going to deal with that literally till the day we die. The key is on how you deal with it. The key is on being aware of instead of going, nah, I'm good. It's saying, no, I have this thing that I deal with, right? I'm open. This thing that I deal with, whatever, for all of us individually. And I know for me, I have to set up certain roadblocks in my life because within myself, I'm just being honest, within myself, I'm not capable of, withstanding that temptation. And I'm gonna be honest about it. So part of my coping mechanism is I set up roadblocks. So I know for me, I can't go, say around Cheesecake Factory, because if I go to the Cheesecake Factory, chances are I'm gonna get some cheesecake. Just using a silly example.
But do you think, though, with God, you can be freed of that altogether to where you could walk by, to your example, a Cheesecake Factory and be able to not even look twice? That's what I'm talking about, being freed by it.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that is possible. But in the meantime, until you are, let's just be honest with ourselves, right? Until that day happens, it's okay for you to not be okay. It's okay to say, you know what, this is my weakness. And so in the meantime, I just got to stay away. I can't.
But you're not going to go around bashing every single person who's at the Cheesecake Factory.
Right, exactly. And that's why in this case, this is the thing, is that this dude had a tendency to bash every single person, right? And he was bashing men on a regular. And now it's coming back to bite him. And that's where, on a regular daily basis, it's better for us to walk in humility, right? We were talking about this the other day. It is better to be humble than to be humbled, right? Those are two totally different experiences.
For the people just tuning in, I just want to make sure that you understand, the listeners and the people jumping on my live, we are not bashing the Cheesecake Factory. It was an analogy.
No, I love the Cheesecake Factory.
We're talking about Derik Jaxn and
Jesus meets me at the Cheesecake Factory
and what he stands for. But yes, that's so powerful. I feel like you need to say that again about being humble or being humbled. Say it again.
Well, yes, and this is something that I've learned to live by, right? Because in my lifetime, I have been humbled due to my own actions, right? In my younger days, I went through a period where I was arrogant. I went through a period where I just thought, I could do whatever, you know what I mean? I'll be honest, and so because of a series of my own actions, I ended up being humbled, right? Now, these days in my life, I just choose to be humble because I've learned it's a far more relaxing experience to be humble than it is to be humbled, right? Mm-hmm. Because when you're humbled, it comes hard and it comes fast. Mm-hmm. And it's, for a lot of people, overwhelming. It is, and it is only by the grace of God that I can stand here today, right? But I tell people all the time, look, just be humble. If you're humble, you don't have to be humbled. You can still have your opinion on things. You can still have your view. You can still, all of those things, but go at it from a perspective of grace. And here's what I always say. If you live your life giving out measures of grace to people, right? Even if you disagree with them, right? But you give out measures of grace to people. Chances are, because in life, whether you want to use the terminology, you reap what you sow, what goes around comes around, karma, whatever terminology you want to use, it doesn't matter. But it's all the same principle, right? Mm-hmm. Chances are when it circles back around in your life and you're in need of grace, if you haven't doled some out, there's not going to be any for you when you need it. So I try to sprinkle grace here and there. Just let me sprinkle some grace, because God forbid if I ever need it again, I want some in the bank waiting for me.
But that's what I'm saying. I really wanted to have grace for him. I wanted to. And then I saw the video. And then I saw the comments. And then I saw him do.
What can he do now? What do you think he can do now? I know he posted video with his wife.
I think one of two things. A big one is just go away for sure. Take some time. Or also just, he needs to humble himself. Right now, he's not at all. In fact, he's making a mockery of himself and his wife. And he's really just looking like such a master manipulator. And that's scary, right? Because people that are narcissistic are manipulators and they're full of themselves, and it's still all about him. And instead of making it about what he did and making it about his wife, it's just still a show about him. It's crazy.
I can't believe he promoted his book at the end of the video.
I know.
Oh yeah, no, and gave a 50% coupon. And gave a 50%
coupon at the end of the video for his book. Stop. This is not an opportunity. And that's why everyone's laughing at him. They're like, was this a publicity stunt? Like, I don't understand. Obviously, it wasn't a stunt. But there's a lot of women coming forward, like throwing his name out there. I forgot to forward it to you guys, but this one woman was saying like, oh yeah, because they're college sweethearts, I guess, him and his wife. Mm-hmm. And I guess he started saying like, she said that his wording was that he was being unfaithful because his wife got boring. And I'm like, hey, what? Like everything he speaks against is coming out, right? So I don't know. Again, to your point, J Love, I don't.
Yeah, and that's what, look, ladies and gentlemen, it's this simple. Look, and that's why even like because I come from the world, I've been involved heavily in ministry, right? The traditional, like out of church ministry. I've been involved in, a lot of different aspects of life, right? And I would always get really leery of the people who were really hardcore when they would come down on people, right?
Yep.
It would never sit well with me, because at the end of the day, let's just take, whether you believe in Jesus or not, let's take the principles of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
None of how Jesus was real angry like that. I mean, his anger was always towards like self-righteousness, you know what I mean? Like the whole thing that this is, right? And so, but he always had grace with people. So I'll use this example, right? There's a famous story in the Bible where it talks about a woman who, quote unquote, the adulterous woman is the story in the Bible. And side note, it's always funny that they call her the adulterous woman, but they never call the men out. But whatever.
Yeah,
Side
that
note.
part.
Wait, really quick. We have to
Jay,
give a shout out
I didn't know
to.
you would make that statement, Jay. Thank you for pointing that out. I just
Really
talked about
quick.
it the other day.
No, but go ahead.
Wait,
Sure.
really quick, Samantha Saunders is in complete agreement with us on my live. So thank you, and thank you for supporting us. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of people hitting on it's crazy.
Shout out to all the lives then. Shout out
to all of y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning, and we're gonna have to even do more of this because we're cutting short. We're like the last 9 minutes is crazy.
What?
But here's the thing. It's become a thing where obviously the law was back then that because they caught her, they could stone her, right? And so they brought her to Jesus, and really it was a trick question, right? They wanted to catch Jesus up. They wanted to catch him slipping, right? It was a trick question. Jesus, what should we do with her, right? Because the law says that we could stone her, right? Jesus was cool. Jesus was like, yo, no problem. Go ahead and stone her. That's cool. That's what y'all want to do. Handle it. However, before you do that, he who has no sin, throw the first stone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And so that was that, like they all had to drop their rocks because no one wants to be like, I always in my head, I always pictured that there's one guy going, well, you throw it first, I'll be the second one. But you know what I mean? But like no one wanted to be the first one to throw because obviously no one is without sin. That being said, I think the reason why, to your point, Cherie, that this gentleman doesn't have any grace is because he didn't give grace. You know what I mean? And so I believe that, look, moving forward, yes, both men and women have a count in relationships. Both men and women need to get it together because we all have issues, all of us, right? We all need to get it together. But that being said, I believe in love. I believe in the institute of marriage. I believe that two people, even through the roughest of times, because I would say in my own relationship, there's been times where my wife has deserved a better husband and vice versa. You know what I mean? But through the thick and the thin of it all, I can say definitively that through all of that, guess what? God won, right? Because
first of all, Betty's perfect. Don't be rude. Go ahead.
Absolutely, except for on some Tuesdays. It's you know what I mean? Like every third Tuesday of the month, it's a little rough. But I can say that through all of that, because for two reasons. And they're the same reason. Number one, I made a choice that I want to be a better man. I make that choice every day when I get up. I might not always succeed, but every day when I get up, I decide I want to be a better man, period. She does that on her end. So if we're both trying to be better, period, and we're both trying to align ourselves with God first, then when we come together, we could figure out the ridiculousness. We could figure, you know what I mean? And that's the only way we figure it. Because if it's just, if I'm trying to do it for her, there's going to be days I don't like her. So that's not going to stand up and vice versa. Right. So it's about self-accountability. So we all have to be accountable for ourselves and be better, period. That's how you become a better man, a better woman, a better parent, a better child, a better friend, etc.
And I just want to say the woman that was about to be stoned was also acknowledged that she was in the wrong and was not trying to promote a book. Okay. I'm just saying.
Man,
and she was ready to go away. She was like, stone me, do whatever.
Right. I accept, not however. And talking in third person.
Feel like if he was there, he probably would have thrown a stone at her. He was a titan.
Yes, and so and then would have talked and like, hey, that dude that threw the stone, I don't know, the guy who threw,
He's like,
that,
fine. Let me go ahead and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess the moral of the story is this, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to a close on this show. I know a lot of you have been through things in life, right? I have a story. Cherie Marlene has a story. Melion has a story. Even the goat has a story, right?
The goat's killing you. The goat is killing you.
We all have a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the beauty of your story. No matter how ugly at times your story has been, no matter how devastating at times your story may have been, the good news is, and someone taught me this a long time ago, is that like any other story, you're the author and you hold the pens in your hand and you can finish this thing out. And I want you to understand that if you've failed in love, if you've had people, do you dirty, if you've been betrayed, I want you to know that that's not everybody. I want you to know that not everybody is vile. Not everybody is out to betray your trust. And if you've betrayed someone's trust, you're worthy to love again as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, you may need to fix some things in your life, but you're also worthy of love again. And you can get it right. I don't care if your pattern in the past was a certain thing. The key is that it's up to you.
And don't you think taking accountability, though, on that note is the first step to getting past it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Accountability.
Yes. We need to take accountability, for the person who looks back at you in the mirror. You can't control what other people do, but you can't control that person, that one person on the planet. And so make the proper adjustments. And I guarantee you that if you make the proper adjustments, and even where you fall short, if A, you trust in God, and let's say, and B, you find people to be accountable with and to. I have a group of friends that I'm accountable to. They know everything about me. I share with them the good, the bad, and the ugly. They hold me accountable and vice versa. They'll literally randomly call me and be like, hey, Jay, how are you doing? Not like the fluff. Go ahead.
Do you think when people are like fearful of having accountability partners or people or friends, whatever, it's because it's coming from a place of pride? Like they don't need to know my business.
I think it's a combination of pride and fear, because they might have something to hide and they're afraid that, they might get judged or whatever the case is.
Or embarrassment, right?
Yeah.
Fear,
and that's where you have to find, and it don't gotta be a lot of people. I'm not saying open up to everybody, but find at least one or two people that you can be 100 with and be like, hey, I struggle with this thing. I want to be accountable to you. Can you hold me accountable in this area? AA does the same thing, right? They have sponsors. They call them sponsors. It's the same basic principle. Find someone that you could be accountable to and with, and watch how you grow. Because when you have someone who knows the good, the bad, and the ugly of you, you can't hide from them, right? And so what happens is you hide from yourself less, right? Because it's easy to hide. Hey. Because and
what's crazy about what you're saying is when we internalize it and keep it to ourselves, I feel like that is really where the mind gets the best of us, the enemy gets the best of us, because now we get trapped in a place of guilt, right? And we become in bondage to our own guilt, and then that leads to depression, and you think you're unworthy, and on and on and on. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest your biggest enemy, and your biggest friend at the same time is your mind. The mind is where the battlefield is at. That's why, there's scripture that says that we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. You have to renew that thing. Like Cherie was saying the other day, there's neurological pathways that you have to reprogram every day. This thing is a computer. So you got to go in there like, a master technician and reprogram this thing every day. I don't care what was in there in the past. You got to reprogram it.
And you got to find those neurological pathways that have been like embedded from childhood. That's the hard part too, right?
When you dig deep in the computer and you find them little bitty chips way down, you got to go get deep up in that computer and find them. But I can't. This show always goes by so fast. It's crazy. But I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. Those of you on the radio, thank everybody who's online. We truly appreciate you. We want to hear from you more. Hit us up at the Revolution Radio Show on Instagram, at JLoveOfficial, at Mars Mindset. That's MarsMindset, at VH1 Melion. That's VH, the number one, MELIONE. We want to hear from you. You know what I mean? We appreciate you guys. You have no idea how much we love you guys. So we need to hear from you, please. No, hit us up. You know what I mean? And so listen, tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow. It's going to be an amazing day. If you want to share, I know a lot of you are getting your stimulus. You want to share that with your boy because you feel really blessed. I got a book that's 50% off.
Stop it. Wow. Stop it, Derik Jaxn. Stop it.
We're going to put the link on the bottom. 50% off. You know what I mean?
Because he had to.
But anyways, as usual, on behalf of Sheree Marlene, on behalf of Melion, and even on behalf of the GOAT today, we want to remind you, reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God because God is love and love is everything, man. We'll see y'all on mañana.
Oh my.